Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to check out Agent Hunter, a game of espionage and deduction for 2 players. It supports ages 12 and up, and the average play time is about 10-15 minutes. Basically, this is one of those spy/deduction card games where players are going to be trying to figure out what numbered cards their opponent has face down that serves as their safe houses. And basically they're trying to eliminate their opponent's safe houses before their opponent can do the same to them. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at the components and see how the game is played. Okay, so here's a very brief look at your components. You've got the box here, nothing fancy. Here's the box insert. Box insert is a little warped. The game came that way, but I mean, it's not as bad as other card games I have. But I guess if you really wanted to, you can get rid of this and just put the cards inside, use a rubber band or something. Just be careful, though, that the cards may warp if you do that. Here's the instruction manual here. It's not too terribly difficult to play, just front and back here. And as far as the actual components are concerned, there are 10 blue cards and 10 red cards. They are numbered 0 through 9. You've also got these turn sequence cards, and each color also has 5 of these tokens. Setting up the game is pretty simple. Basically, players will choose a color, either blue or red, and then take the cards and the tokens of that color. After that, they'll look through their hand and choose 3 cards to put face down like this. The rest will form their hand. These face down cards will form a player's safe house. And basically, these safe houses are what players are trying to protect as they play the game, and likewise they're trying to eliminate their opponent's safe houses. Well, how do you do that? Well, that leads into the turn sequence, and there's 3 different things that you can do on your turn. You can attack from your hand, you can switch agents, or attack from your safe house. Basically, the way attacking works, let's say you're attacking from your hand, and let's say that you choose, I don't know, this 0. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to reveal the card and choose which of these 3 safe houses you're going to attack. The opponent here will look at his card and say either higher, lower, or just flip the card and say, you got me, this number is equal to the number that was played. So let's say that this was a 0. If that were the case, then this card would be flipped face up, this 0 would stay there on top of this other 0, and this safe house would be eliminated. If this number were higher, in this case it has to be higher, because, well, there's nothing higher than 0 in this game. Basically what will happen is the opponent will say higher, meaning that this card here is higher than this card played here. This card would then go back into this player's hand, and then the other player would get to take their turn. Now, another thing that a player could do on their turn is switch agents. If at some point you feel that your opponent is close to guessing what one of these cards are, you can switch them out by taking a card from your hand and, and just replacing it with something else. Now, whenever you do that, though, you have to put one of your tokens in front of one of these 3 storehouses that you have here. And basically, this adds a victory point to your storehouses, or your safe houses, rather. So if your opponent were to capture this particular safe house in the future, then not only would they get 1 point for capturing the safe house, but they'd also get an extra victory point for this token here. So while you can switch out agents to prolong your opponent's ability to capture your safe houses, you're actually going to be giving them points, by doing that, assuming that they actually guess the correct number at that particular safe house. So it's a little risky to do that, but, if you can take out your opponent while switching out your agents and prolonging the inevitable, then you'll be in good shape. As far as the 3rd and final action, attack from your safe house, basically, it's the same thing as attacking from your hand. What you're going to do is you're going to choose one of your safe houses here and then reveal it and then just place it face up like this. Now, if this card does equal this number here, then that safe house is eliminated. This player succeeds, and they'll go ahead and replace the safe house like this by taking another card from their hand and doing that. However, if they are not correct, if they guess incorrectly, then it's really bad for this player here, because what will happen is this player can immediately reveal a card from wherever this is the number 3, so they could reveal the number 3 from any of these locations and just eliminate it immediately. So if you're going to play from your safe house here, if you're going to attack from your safe house, you better be sure that this is the correct number that you're going after. And that concludes the 3 different actions that you can take on your turn. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will continue taking turns back and forth, trying to figure out what their opponent's safe house numbers are while trying to safeguard their own. Again, they can switch out agents as they need to prevent their opponent from, guessing the correct number. But again, every time you do that, you have to add these decoy tokens, and that will potentially give your opponent more victory points should they guess that card in the future. Now, at the end of the game, which is triggered by someone guessing all 3 of these safe house numbers, the game will end, and then players will count up their victory points. Players earn 1 point for every safe house they have guessed correctly on their opponent's safe houses, and they'll also gain a victory point for each token. So if the game were to end, let's just say that, let's see, these were revealed, and I had a 2, a 1, and a 3. Well, let's say this was here, and obviously this is not appropriate gameplay or, exact gameplay, but let's just say that that was like that, and, okay, and then my opponent had, like, does he have a 0 in here? Yes, okay. So here's the 0, he figured that out. So at this point, I would receive 3 victory points. Blue would receive 3 victory points here because that blue captured 3 of the safe houses. 1, 2, 3. There were no decoy tokens in front of them or anything like that. Now let's say that this were here instead. Okay. So now red would receive 2 points. 1 for this captured safe house here, and then 1 for this decoy token here. Blue would end up winning this game. Okay, so there you have it, a very brief look at Agent Hunter. It's important to stress that I didn't cover all of the rules found in the manual. This was just to give you a general overview so that you could see how the game was played. As far as what I thought, I think it's an excellent game. It could be played with just regular playing cards, but you could find this game for like $5 or $6 on Amazon, so it's not like it's that big of an investment. And the artwork on the cards are pretty good, I have to say. One thing that really disappoints me, though, is that some of these card backs have little white smidges on them, that are permanent. So when players actually get to the point where they can memorize what the back of the card looks like based on the malformations or whatever, like the smidges or those little white marks, then they'll be able to guess what their opponent has in their safe house, making this game completely impossible to play. One way around that would be to buy sleeves for these cards, ones with, I guess, one with a clear side, one with, a side that is not clear. That way the card backs are covered. So that might be one way around that problem. I personally don't own any card sleeves like that. If you folks happen to be able to recommend any, I'm probably just going to go on Amazon and buy whatever's cheapest anyway. But if you guys happen to be able to recommend any card sleeves like that, feel free to leave a comment in the below description. But this game is pretty good. It's a very quick and easy to play card game. I'm a big fan of card games that make you have to try and deduce what your opponent has. Like, I love those deductive reasoning card games, and this one's very simple to play, so it's right up my alley. Like I said, the only downside is just manufacturing. Some of these card backs are marked in some way, and that's defeats the whole purpose of that. So yeah. If you guys want to see my written review, you can at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.